Well, you got special, you got Christmas special, and then you got Doctor Who Christmas special. Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about the latest Doctor Who Christmas special, The Husbands of River's Song. Now, there are going to be some spoilers in this one, so this is your Doctor Who spoiler alert. I could put a clip here of River saying spoilers, but I don't want to. So every year since 2005, when Doctor Who came back into our lives, we get a Doctor Who Christmas special, which is usually either a standalone episode that just encapsulates everything that is great about Doctor Who, or a hugely important episode that moves the plot along with something like a regeneration or the tying up of loose ends. This one was kind of neither. First of all, we need to talk about River, probably the most polarizing character in all of Doctor Who. Fans seem to either absolutely hate her or absolutely love her. Well, I'm not a big fan of the character. I do think that she's given us some great episodes, with my favorite River Song story being Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. The first River Song story and also kind of the last. River is definitely not one of my Doctor Who favorites, but I do think that overall her story is kind of interesting. The Husbands of River Song completes the circle on River's story. We finally get to the point where the Doctor gives her the sonic screwdriver we see in Forest of the Dead. And just like she tells the 10th Doctor on Forest of the Dead, he takes her to Beryllium to see the Singing Towers, knowing it's her last night before the library. I'll put a link to that scene from Forest of the Dead so you could get the feels. Getting closure on River's story 4 seasons later was very satisfying and I thought was done very well, but that's like the 10 last minutes of the episode. The rest was kind of fun. There's a large part of the episode where River doesn't get that the Doctor is the Doctor because of his new face and his extra regeneration, which at some point just becomes a bit hard to buy. So throughout the episode, you're kind of wondering, is she just messing with him or does she really know? But then the end of the episode and the speech that she gives really depends on you believing that she didn't know it was him. And that was kind of a tough sell for me. But it did provide some awesomely fun moments, like when the Doctor pretends to be blown away by the fact that the TARDIS is bigger on the inside. That was just a brilliant scene that reminds us how great Capaldi is as the Doctor. So I did have fun with the episode, and it even made me laugh out loud a few times, even though watching this episode was the first thing I did after getting back home from a 14-hour flight. But coming at the tail end of season 9, which was awesome, this episode just felt a little underwhelming. The adventure aspect of Doctor Who is meant to be fun, and I'm all for episodes that are all about that, but the story here just felt it was spread a little too thin. It felt like they had this great idea of how to get the Doctor and River to Beryllium for their last night and give us closure for River's story. Hopefully anyway, because I feel like we're done with River at this point. And then basically it felt like they needed to fill in some gaps and burn some time. The story with King Hydroflax and the ship was fine, but it just fell short of anything that was on season 9. Another issue that was raised about this episode was sexism. Now obviously people will find a way to be offended by just about anything, about just about anything, and while I think that sexism is a bit harsh for Doctor Who, and I think that there isn't a shortage of powerful female characters, that in itself is sort of a problem, because I hate the fact that it's female characters and male characters. It's supposed to be just characters, powerful or otherwise, and that is something that I think Doctor Who handles very well. For example, when in season 8 the Master shows up as Missy, not for a single second is the Doctor blown away by the fact that she's a woman now. No, he's just surprised that she's there, and then he just keeps on talking. It's just another thing that happened. There is an interesting discussion to have here though, because River is basically Indiana Jones meets Han Solo, right? River is the best of Harrison Ford. She's a strong, independent woman, but there's a part of the episode where she gives a speech about how loving the Doctor is like loving the stars themselves, and you can't expect the stars to love you back. So it can be interpreted that even though she's her own woman, her life kind of revolves around the Doctor. I'm not sure I think that her love for this larger-than-life character who is the Doctor belittles her as a woman. What do you think? Bottom line, The Husbands of River's Song is a fun story, although a weak one compared to season 9 and actually compared to the other Christmas specials as well. The closure on River's story was interesting and done well, and I appreciate it, and watching Forest of the Dead after this one will give you a punch in the gut. Stephen Moffat plays a long game. Davies was still running the show at the time, but Forest of the Dead was written by Moffat. But all of that is just my opinion. What did you think about Husbands of River Song? What do you think about the River Song story arc and the character? And bonus question, which actress do you think would make a great doctor? My pick would be Tamsin Greig. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community, where we're talking about TV every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with reviews and news and opinions and all kinds of great stuff. All for you fellow binge watchers and TV lovers. So you can go ahead and click on that big subscribe button to join in on the fun. You can check out any of the other videos on the channel. If you want to talk about anything else, you can check out my personal channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.